Welcome back. Glad you made it, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Thank you for joining me once again. It is Friday, April 17th, 2026. Wagwan, to me familiar, wherever you're tuning in from. If it's Canada, hello. From all the way from the East Coast, all the way over there to the West, further down south. The United States of America, all beautiful 50 states. More of my me familiars further down south. Mexico, right there. Viva la raza. Right there, further down south. I'm talking about South America, of course. Over there in Chile, over there in Uruguay, Paraguay, over there, jumping over to Cuba. We have right there near Miami. We're so close, yes, so far apart, but we're so close, touching. Over there in Africa, of course, Nigeria, over there in the Congo, over there in Cote d'Ivoire, over there in back to Europe, in Spain, in Italy, in Finland, in Norway, in Singapore, in Asia, over there in Malaysia, over there in Thailand, over there in all around the world, really, China, the Koreas, all the stands. Over there in New Zealand, of course, and we'll get to New Zealand, of course, later on, and Australia. Papua New Guinea, let's not forget, the Guineas right there. Shout out to all of you, wherever you are. Let's get this shit going. Get a sip of this bad boy right here. Thank you for joining me once again. Quit recording yourself while you're taking a shower. Put it down. It's over. It's good. It is whatever you caught on tape is good. Neither here or there, but upload it so we can all see, you know what I'm talking about. Pixelate that shit, upload it. Let's go. What's going on in and around the world? I think this is breaking news. The argument here is that let's just get right into it. I don't even know where to begin. It's not good. We're gonna find out. We're gonna find out. If you remember, sometime last year we touched on a topic. We covered a little story that caught the attention of the masses. I'm talking people, I'm talking aliens, I'm talking animals. Everybody was talking about it, and it made a lot of noise. What kind of noise? Who knows? But all kinds of noises. I'm talking about David, the singer, David, D4vd, David. Last year, apparently, the news broke out that they found a dead girl in the trunk of his Tesla, somewhere in California. Parked his Tesla. They found a dead girl, and the smell was reeking. It was horrible, and it sucks. It sucks. I think she was 14 at the time. She died, and nobody knew who caused her death, but they took their time. They investigated. Apparently, they just arrested David. I'm not quite sure if he's charged yet. I think there's more to. What's interesting about all of this? This is why it caught my attention, because again, we have a singer. We have a famous global superstar singer who sang a song about, I didn't listen to the song, but apparently he had a song about this bitch that he murdered. And it's in the song. I think he talks about it in the song. That's why it was. So now they caught him. He's arrested. Did he do it? Did he not do it? And this is where he gets again. Rest in peace to the young lady. That's terrible. That's terrible. But we don't even know if he did it yet. We don't, because his legal team went up there and said, I think we're going to defend him. I think that's what lawyers do. So they're going to defend him and see. But of course, if he's guilty, then so be it. But if he's not, then he deserves to be defended. But we don't know yet. But he has been arrested. So it's quite interesting, because if this is where it gets interesting. You're like, why is this interesting? I'm glad you asked. Thank you. This might be, I think, in modern, in recent. This is. Again, I'm not agreeing with murder at all. I'm not not an advocate of murder or any type of violence. We're lovers, not fighters up in this bitch. But nonetheless, he did kill a bitch, and he did think, if you think about it, he talked about it in his lyrics. He sang a song about the whole act, I think, and I haven't listened to it. This is gonna get another spike in his streaming, stats and whatnot. But nonetheless, he did sing about it. So if it actually took, this makes him real. This makes him one of the realest artists of our time right now, I think. The argument could be made, is David the GOAT? Is David the GOAT right now? For the time being, of course, GOATs come and go. Is he a contender? Like, if he grab his, goat nipples, will he lactate goat milk? Because a lot of people, especially in music, if you Of course, it doesn't have to be true, but if it is true, because you hear, I'm a fan of rap, I'm a fan of gangster rap, I'm a fan of all sorts of music. You hear about certain stories, you're like, holy shit, that did this happen? Did he shoot the gat with it? Did he bust the cap in those motherfuckers' asses, or did he not? Did he murder his sister, or did he not, or whatever? And it's interesting because this guy did, apparently. It's very, they've arrested him. So I'm guessing there's something, they took a year to investigate. I'm guessing they found something, juicy to, attach to him, I guess. But not that it's okay, dude. Obviously, we're not cool with murder. But if he did that, it does, beg to, the question must be asked. Is he, in terms of like authenticity and like fucking, being real, this guy fucking, said it, sang about it, and he actually did it. The moral of this story is, not the murder part, but fucking being true to yourself. Being true to yourself. That's what's important here. If he did do it, horrible. I think, again, a lot of people are going to stream his music probably because of this. If he didn't do it, still, I think this is going to help the streaming. Either way, it's going to help. Either way, we could lessons learned, the extra morals of the stories. The murder will probably help the streaming stats. There you go. That's, I'm not saying it's good, but in terms of stats, in terms of like, viewership, people who listen, it's, what if she wasn't murdered by him? What if she was murdered by someone? What if he's being set up? Holy shit, what if he's being set up, and all the time we're like, of course these filthy animal rock stars just living filthy animal rock star lives that we also love to, we also love to somewhat live similar lives. So, oh, he must have done it. He must have. These dirty animals. But then, we forget. Maybe we're judging by the image. I don't know. Again, you want to give everybody the benefit of the doubt. Innocent until proven guilty. We'll see. But this one's looking pretty sus right now at the moment. And again, he might be the GOAT in terms of fucking being, people who, you sing about, getting shot. It's nice to know that you actually got shot. That's, not saying. And sometimes I'm a fan of, fiction as well. Don't get me wrong. But like, sometimes you're like, fuck, in the midst of all, what is real and what isn't, you're like, this guy's fucking, he did it. So, yeah, there you go. David's the GOAT, I think, for the time being. We'll see. What if she was just a really good fan? What if she was a really dedicated, another moral of the story. What if she was just a really good fan? Maybe she was, like, I'm going to do something crazy for you, David. I love you, David. I'm going to help you get streaming up. I'm going to help your ratings go high. And David was like, no, you don't need to do this, sweetheart. I'll just make a song about you. Don't do this. Don't do this. But then she's like, I'll do it, David. You can't stop me. I'll do it. And then she got herself killed, or maybe killed herself, put herself in the trunk, or maybe hired somebody to kill her, put her in the trunk, make it seem like David killed her, get people talking, boost up the ratings. Fuck, dude. What if she was really dedicated? I'm not saying that's good. Again, but if you're out there and you'd like to, if you're thinking, I'm not saying you should already, but if you're there, if you're gonna, we got the MAID program here in Canada for, like, I'm not advocate. I'm not even a fan of it. I'm not even a fan. But if you are gonna do it and you're like, Rob, I really love your show. What can I do to help the rate? I'm not saying do this, but like, maybe one day when I'm outside, if you're gonna fucking like, just like do, if we just happenstance, if I'm there on location, if I'm on location, you happen to be walking by, you're like, man, whatever, I've got fucking, I just want to end it, or what? Don't, of course, don't. But if you, and then you're a fan of the show, you walk by, you're like, holy shit, this is happening on the streets. You fucking drop dead right there, and then just make a shout out before you go. Just make a shout out, be like, glad you made it, best show ever. And then, cyanide right there. Whatever, just some hardcore fans out there. You never know. But what are we even talking about? That's neither here or there. The point is, potential talk about, one of the GOATs right now. I'm just, in music at least, in music. In terms of, fucking being real out there. What else is happening in and around the world? Of course, we're excited about a whole lot of stuff. One of them is I believe we're doing a blockade. Blaka. We're doing a blockade, I think. The Strait of Hormuz refuses to engage in homosexual activities, refuses to acknowledge that it may be gay, or it may be, what about the buy of Hormuz? Always talking about what about the buy of, what about the Hormuz that is maybe taking some time off, sexual activities. Maybe just give it a little breather. Just let it hang, but refuses to cooperate. We're doing a blaka, which means we're blockading. I think we send troops, which is like, I heard 10,000, if I'm not mistaken. And I was reading an article, which is crazy because you don't even think about it. All this time that this has been happening, the fellas mostly, and I guess there's some chicks as well, who work on the ships, just like regular ships and oil tankers. I was reading an article depicting the life, I'd have so much diarrhea if I was working on a ship in that region right now, just because you never know. Jesus Christ. They can't they can't leave the ports. If they do, I'm not even, I don't know. Maybe they can, maybe they can't. It's hard to tell, but you might go out there, you might fucking blow up. You're just trying to get some oil. You're just trying to get some oil to people. Just a regular fucking, oil tanker. You don't even think, it's one of those things that gets, so compartmentalized. Yeah, it ends up in our, gas stations. It goes everywhere in every product that we consume on a daily basis. And there's these dudes who fucking, go out there in the middle of the sea, middle of the ocean, fucking get that gas somehow, get that oil. Put it into fucking barrels, put it on ships, put it into pipes, fucking, working with wrenches, just oily, just sweaty, just fucking, fires burning in the background. Maybe a little bit of EDM going on, a little bit of just fucking, strobe lights, a little bit of, a little bit of a fog machine. Maybe it's not a fog, they don't need a fog machine right now. You have actual fire going on, but that's going on. And there's this dude who's like, I don't know if it's worth it anymore. We still do need that. We still, of course, this is gonna eventually it'll all be settled. Of course, long term, of course, of course, there's gonna, there's talks of ceasefire between Lebanon and Israel, which is fucking, let's do it, yes. And come to figure it out together as a species or so. I don't know. It's just, it sucks to see civilians out there in and around the world being affected. That aspect of it sucks. But there are people who are living beautiful lives full of, you want a dangerous occupation out there? You're like, I want to chase that fucking danger. I want to sniff that danger. You get out there and be a little fucking, oil tanker operator, oil tanker, a little, just be a sailor, you have to be a seaman. It's one of those jobs. Today, it's challenging to be a seaman. Let us not forget the importance of seamen and jizz, of course. And in the meantime, I think that the Iranian, the IRGC or whatever, I think they just said that they placed mines that they don't know how to locate it. So we're going in there, we're going to try to sweep. So we're doing multiple things. We're doing a blockade, we're doing a blaka. We're doing a blaka. And we're going there sweeping for mines, which is, I don't know how we're going to, yes, we've got AI, we've got robots. God damn, just a few years ago, probably would just be like dudes just like in scuba gear going underwater trying to find mines and shit. That is nerve-wracking. Low-key, I just fucking dip in the water and just like, I get lost, dude. You know what I mean? Because I'm not, I'd find a safe spot beside the boat. I'd be, because this, what do you want me to find the mine? And then like, what do we do after we touch the mine? Do we find it? Oh, God. Detonating a bomb underwater? You're talking about wet detonation? Are you, Jesus. Disarming a bomb underwater, it's on land, it's already difficult. You see people with the sweat beads on their foreheads dripping into their eye sockets, them getting eye irritation, having to fucking leave their families because of it, getting two divorces, and taking out a third mortgage now because of said sweaty beads of water getting into their tear ducts. But that's on dry land. Think about this. You're trying to fucking, figure out where this bomb is, find it, trying to fucking, the clock is ticking, tick, tock, tick, to this shark right beside your face, just fucking chewing gum. What are you doing, shark? There's a feeder fish on, beside the shark, just fucking nibbling on its ear. There's a feeder fish on your nutsack, just feeding on your nuts. You're trying to whack this feeder fish off your nuts and get the bomb to not go off. All of this is happening, and it's beautiful. It's beautiful. We're gonna do it together. The blaka. Of course, I may have heard this. All this may be wrong. All this may be incorrect. I may have misheard all of it. It might not even be a blockade. It might be a blackade. A blockade. You might be getting. We might be sending some of our darkest, blackest troop members down there to do a black aid, and that's not the sort of aid you want. It does sound positive because it's got aid in the name, but when we've got our black troops, fucking right there, black aid. You wanted some aid, you got the black aid. Blaka, blaka, blaka. I just read the IMF was warning about a potential if it goes on, if the crisis goes on, if the crisis continues. We might be facing a global recession, which is, I don't know. I don't want to. We'll see how it goes. I think we'll globally somehow figure it out. But like low key, if fuck, dude, might be like again. What if we do get a 20? What if we get a 20s/30s depression style sort of recession, then depression. Hopefully not. I think it's good to talk about it, like to figure it out. Because you hear about fuel shortages here, gas prices there, inflation over here. It's a lot, but hopefully we will figure it out. I do believe we will figure it out. I do truly believe that. Because you got to. What else is there? Because the days must go on. We do the living. You can't be thinking it's not gonna eventually end. It will. We just don't know at the moment, but it's all right. We got the troops. We're doing the blockade. We're doing that blaka. And there is, random mines that we're fucking sweeping for, which is pretty fucking cool at the moment. But in the meantime, it doesn't mean you can't. It doesn't mean you can't have a good time. All right. So get out there. Become go out there, seek adventure, say yes to life. Go on a oil tanker. Be a seaman. If you're like, I gotta be a little bit further away from this thing, how do I contribute? Check out Polymarket, bet on the sitch. There's so many things. I've not gone on it myself, but I hear you can bet on literally everything. Bet on the outcome, bet on who's gonna get, fucking murked out there. You can bet on anything. You can bet on, if there's gonna be a hostage situation, if there's gonna be a shootout, will there be helicopters involved? Will there be, frogmen having to go in on land? Who knows? You can bet on it. Make bank. And if you got insider information, let your boy know. Write it in the comments so your boy can wet his beak a little as well. At least, because you got to get in there. You got to get involved. Got to make a little bit of cheddar. Why? What do they say? You got to stick the iron in when the fire is. What do they say? You got to stick in when the fire is burning. You got to make stick your hand in the oven when the fire is burning, when it's hot. Grab a hot piece of iron and stick it in. Make sure the iron that is burning is hot, red, white hot. Make sure the iron rod is white hot. Grab it. Smell the skin burning off your hand, and stick it in there somewhere. I forget where they said stick it somewhere where it's burning and it's still hot. So, moral of the story: grab something that's burning and stick it somewhere. Not quite sure where. Somewhere, really, anywhere. It doesn't matter. I think mostly it's just grabbing on and holding on something really hot. I think it's more like a spiritual thing, really. When you think of it, it's not so material. It's fucking Buddhist monk shit. Fucking walking on coals type shit. I think I'm not quite sure. But nonetheless, this podcast could be brought to you by Polymarket / maybe Kalshi. Is that? I think that's more sporting. But maybe I'm not quite sure. These days, lessons learned, morals of the story. You can bet on anything. So to fucking make bank. God. There was a fella caught on a security camera at a house in California. I forget his name, but it doesn't matter. He's captured on camera. He goes and rings some dude's random fella's bell. He's yelling and screaming, trying to get inside the house. He calls himself the Dresden. I think he called himself something Dresden. Basically, he named the character after a series which I'm not familiar with, called the Dresden File or Dresden Files. I'm not quite sure, to be honest with you. There's a character, there's like a wizard / PI character. This guy introduced himself as that, knocking on this random fella's door, trying to break in. Whole thing was caught on camera. Does eventually break in. There happened to be a pregnant woman, I think, inside the house. I think the husband somehow made it back to the house to help his pregnant wife, you know, be safe and secure. I don't know what drove this, you know, insane fella to do this, but it was, again, it was insane. Turned out it was they were neighbors, actually. They were neighbors. He was living, the crazy dude was living behind the house that he got in, the house that he broke into. And yeah, what do you do then in terms of, because I thought about that, I'm like, how do you deal with this guy? If somebody like this, if some random dude fucking, you know, comes at you or your family inside your home. I think this was Kelly. You can shoot people, right? I don't know why would you even risk it? You got a pregnant wife. That's, you know, when they're on the porch, can you shoot them on the porch? If that's your property, right? You can shoot them, right? You got a pregnant wife. You have to blast that motherfucker. Blast them right through the door. Count to 3. And then, you know, fucking just right there through the door. Pregnant wife, were you gonna risk it? The husband, you know, managed to get him away with using a shovel. Great timing. I'm not quite sure if he was there when all of this was happening. I'm not sure if he just got there as if timing was great. Luckily, no one got hurt. He's been arrested, thankfully. What do you do? Because you know, you have some schizo showing up to your home, you know, saying they're gonna do what? I don't know what he was trying to do. I think he thought in his head somebody inside the house was in danger and he was gonna break in and help or whatever. And their neighbors, Jesus Christ. He got arrested. And an interesting aspect of this story is later I found out they charged him with an additional charge. The charge is, I didn't even know this charge existed. It says he was charged with either annoying and or molesting a child under 18, which are two very, you know, we gotta fucking, those are the charges, annoying / and or molesting a child under 18. Those are very two different. I mean, you know, annoying is extremely far away from molesting a child under 18. We gotta figure, because if it's, you know, you should definitely be charged for trying to, you know, potentially do an act of harm or violence and definitely breaking entry. You should definitely be charged with that. The annoying part, we could probably figure out if it was just annoying or molest. Because again, what did he do? Did he fucking, you know, was this kid like running and did he like stick his leg out and like trip the kid? Annoying? Or did he fucking molest the kid? Because that's, you know, did he walk by the kid and smack his ice cream out of his hand? Not nice to do. It was annoying. You could say that, you know, don't do that. Annoying. Or did he fucking, you know, molest the kid? That's two very different, extremely far apart from, you know, annoying to, you know, like, what is this? Oh my God, I can't believe he's annoying me. Oh, you know, that's compared to, or maybe it is worse. Maybe it is, who knows? Maybe it's worse. Maybe annoying, it could be worse. Or I didn't even know you could. What if it wasn't molesting? What if he was annoying the kid? What if it was, how many years is that for annoying a kid? I mean, still, it's weird that he done it, but I'd like to know, are we there? Is this 2026 annoying is now worse than or comparable to molesting? It's because it's either or at this point, and they're sandwiched in together. It just gotta clarify a few things, but who knows? Either way, I'm glad he's gone. Next time, I don't know how it is in Canada, but I gotta look it up. What if you have a similar situation? Could you just, it sucks to have to think about these things, but that's, you know, sometimes you have people doing this type of shit. Anyways, he's gone, but again, if somebody can clarify whether it was annoying or molesting, let's figure that one out. Trump versus the Pope. I believe there's a little bit of feud. There's a little bit of beef, I think, going on. I'm not quite sure. Love both fellas. Who would, you know, I don't know what the beef is about, to be honest with you. I think it's got, you know, to do with, you know, I think the Pope has said, you know, as a little bit, he's been the Pope. He's, you know, representing, I guess, you know, God, Jesus, Catholicism, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, Catholicism, God, Jesus, peace, love. So, you know, and given the global situation, maybe he's come out and said a few things. I'm not quite sure what he said, but maybe it's not so, you know, it's not so, okay, you know, he's not go out there and fucking, you know, just, you know, he's not going to be like full, you know, and you don't want that. You don't want a Pope to be fully on board with, like, you know, you want other people to be fully on board, people who are supposed to be, like, you know, doing national security, defense, being the president, that, you know, as your job, you know, that makes sense. But as the Pope, you wouldn't want some like, you know, fucking Pope that got a hard on if he heard of war, or wars, plural, multiple ones going on in and around the, you wouldn't want that for the Pope. So that, you know, happy to see that. But nonetheless, of course, the president, Trumpese, has a differing point of view, perspective, job requirements, responsibility. So he comes in, there's a little bit of verbal beef. The way to settle this, men, the way to settle this, young men, boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, we set it, we get a ring, we get a ring, we get a ring, we put the two men inside the ring. I'd like to see this. This actually might, UFC, White House guard, add it to the, what if we get the Pope, we get Trumpese in the cage, 3 rounds, not 5, 3 rounds. That would, you don't think that would be crazy? You don't think people, I think the entire globe would watch that. I think that would break, you want records to be broken? Pope versus Trumpese. That's, you know, and that, Trumpese is probably like late 70s, maybe early, I forget how old he is, late 70s, close to 80s. I don't know how old the Pope is. Probably around the same age, I'm assuming, you know, both, you know, around the same age. Weight, you know, forget weight, just show up as is, forget weight class, forget about weight class. 3 rounds, whoever takes it. Who am I putting down? I would bet on, I'm going with Trumpese. If it's the Pope versus Trumpese in a UFC match, I think, and no disrespect to the Pope, I just haven't, you know, I don't think, you know, I don't see him having that, you know, it's again, man, you probably wouldn't want that, but maybe underneath the garments, maybe he's fucking ripped, dude. Maybe he's fucking shredded underneath that fucking robe. Who knows? Maybe he's doing chin-ups and fucking reciting the Bible. You know, Matthew 16. I don't even know if that's a thing, but I'm still learning and growing myself. I don't know the full can't coach you stuff from the Bible. You know, great people who do that. We'll get to that later, but nonetheless, maybe he's doing chin-ups, maybe he's doing fucking, you know, Christian karate. You know, maybe he's doing shadow boxing with the other monks. Who knows? But then Trumpese, he'll I think if it's for reals, I think Trump would probably mollywop the Pope. I'm just, again, no disrespect to anybody, but I'm just saying, if it was a physical bout, Trumpese would probably mollywop the Pope. Again, love for both fellas. Because Trump's got that, you know, he's a businessman, he's been out there hustling. Again, it doesn't matter where you know, stand on how you feel about the fella, but nonetheless, just physical, you know, UFC bout between Pope and the Trump. I think Trump would do, you know, I think Trump would fucking, you know, Trump might even pull a Mike Tyson. I could see Trump nibbling on the Pope's ear, dude. I think that's, you know, and that's the time, and you like that as a, you know, you want, these are attributes you want in a president. And of course, I think he'd kill him. Like, not actually, but like, I think he'd, you know, in a ring, you know, the Pope would probably get a whooping. But I like to see it. I'm just saying, I think literally all able-bodied adult members of society, maybe even the disabled, handicapped, retards, would probably, if they can, you know, mitigate their disabilities, will probably, you know, pay to see that. I'm just saying, whatever, it doesn't even matter. Who cares about the disabled? The point is, I gotta stay strong with my base, which is fucking, you know, able-bodied all day, every day, dog. Able-bodied all day, every day. Low-key, we'll have a few days here and there where we, you know, we're a little bit more inclusive towards the disabled, but you know, mostly we're, you know, able-bodied. Fucking, that's my bread and butter. I'm sorry. That's, you know, that's what we cater to. But the point is, I like to see that. If you'd like to see that, leave a comment. It's not too late to get it on the card. Katy Perry has been in the news as of late. I'm not quite sure if this is Katy Perry versus Ruby Rose. Apparently, I'm not familiar with Ruby Rose that much. It's a newer name, at least to me. Sorry, it's hard to, you know, I do apologize. I can't keep track of everybody. Familiarize myself with as many people in many different, you know, realms as possible. But yeah, I'll do, you know, we'll do more in the future with Ruby Rose. I'm guessing she's an actress. Or is it, probably she might have been in movies that I Might have even watched. It doesn't even matter. But Ruby Rose, actress, allegedly, Katy Perry, again, allegations, which Katy has denied. Apparently, Katy at one point rubbed her genitals on Ruby's face. And apparently, like, it gave her, her eyes got irritated. And then sometime after that, I think Katy helped Ruby get a visa to the United States. So from what I gather, this is what Ruby says. Katy's denied it. So again, we have genitals, pop singer, superstar, global superstar, pop singer, grabs her genital, doesn't grab, you don't need to grab, you can grab it. I don't know if she grabbed it. I don't know the details. She might have just fucking, just no grabbing, but like went forward with her genitals, found Ruby in a nightclub and a party. I'm not quite sure where it happened either, but like Ruby's face ended up on Katy Perry's genitals. It collided for, a duration of time. I'm not quite sure. And then she cried, or her eyes again got irritated. I'm not quite sure. Sometime after, Katy helped Ruby get a visa to the US, and we're all in entertainment working together. My question is, adult women on women lesbian activities I'm gonna go ahead, and I don't know the details of the situation. I don't think this is sexual assault or whatever. It's female on female. There's no sexual assault of adult female on female. That's just a good time. And was there more to it? And was there more to it that we could see potentially, that we could grab just for research purposes, just for clarity? As that's my personal opinion. Of course, you're more than welcome to have yours. I don't think unless she was underage at the time, which I'm not quite sure if she was or wasn't, but if there were just two grown, fully developed in terms of breast and in terms of ovaries, fully, the fallopian tubes, fully developed tubes, they've sunk the pelvic floor is fully grown, it's floor to ceiling pelvic, it's, the clits are out and about, they're fully mature, reading glasses on, clitorises, who are into, a little bit of yoga, a little bit of meditation, stretching, jogging, holding down a job, raising, fucking mature, developed, I'm talking, full grown. If that's just lesbianism, that's just good old fashioned lesbianism. I don't think you should put that on yourself or any other person. To Ruby Rose, I hope you can find, and you did, if I'm not mistaken from what I heard, Katy helped her get a visa to the US, which is that a thing? Is that a thing? Other people in entertainment helping each other out to, whatever. Is that still available? I'm just asking for a friend if that's a thing. In entertainment, female genitals on your face, US visa, working, if it's a thing, and is it a lesbian point of entry? Could that still, asking for a friend, all right, who identifies as a lesbian? Is that a thing where you get a female, and if Katy is busy, if there are other, beautiful whores out there in Hollywood, and, it's, if it's a program, I don't know. I've not Googled it. I've not asked ChatGPT. Maybe I should have in hindsight, but I'd like to hear from people. If there's a program where female clits are rubbed on faces to the point, if it's like waterboarding with female genitalia, get a visa, be able to, if it's a thing, I'd like to know. If it's not a thing, maybe it should be a thing, When good things are out there, you should take advantage. When a good opportunity, when a good product is out there, when a good service is out there, we should take advantage. I'm just saying, if it's a thing, not too happy about who Katy Perry's dating, I'll tell you that. I'm not happy about that part of it. Fucking call me son of a bitch. Fucking, Castro Jr., you dirty crook, stealing money from all the people. Shutting down banks, forcing people to get jabs, and then going out there hooking up with Katy Perry. I don't know. The point is, yeah, I don't know. Female on female, I don't think you can sexually assault adults. We'll see how this unravels. It's interesting. What do you guys and gals think? Oh, man. I believe it's Indiana University in Indiana, where I'd like to visit one day. Not the university. Not to say I don't want to, like, if there's an opportunity to, sure, we can go to the university too. But I'm just saying I'd like to visit Indiana and other places as well. But nonetheless, Indiana University, a Chinese nationalist student who's a Chinese national, apparently smuggled in biological pathogens into the US and marked the packages. I don't know if he shipped the packages to himself or he had somebody send the packages to him. Nonetheless, the packages were labeled women's underwear. Oh, China. This guy is apparently, I think, somehow maybe connected to the CCP, not quite sure, but it's that same old fucking fortune cookie, you know, CCP karate chop fucking Confucius / you know, commie attitude that gets us where we are right now. We need to nip this in the bud. We caught the guy, we have the pathogens. But now, okay, if you want to do this, I didn't want it to come down to this, to be honest. Again, I love my Chinese, but this is, you know, this is us versus the CCP right now. This is us versus communism right now. If they're going after things that we like, because they found out through, you know, observing us that we like women's underwear, if they're taking advantage of our weakness, you think we can't reverse it, and you think two can't play it that way? You find that we know, we love women's underwear, and you fucking douse it with biological pathogens. You want to just spray women's underwear with some sort of AIDS, some sort of Chinese AIDS, and send it over. Well, we're going to reverse it. I suppose we're going to go after the things that you like and send packages to university students in China that, you know, and I don't know where we're going to fucking Tai Chi. We're gonna send some packages labeled Tai Chi, all right, to some Chinese student, you know, in a university in Beijing, and that package is gonna come to him, and he's gonna love that package because it says Tai Chi is in the package. You're going after what we like and what we love. Again, two can play it that way, you know. A new package delivered. Oh, who's this? Oh, it's a package delivery guy. What is this? It's a package full of fortune cookies. Oh, ding dong. Who is it? Oh, it's just a delivery guy delivering you a package. What is it? It's chopsticks. Here, have some chopsticks. You want to go after the things that we love? You know? It's a package. Open it up. Look at the label. What does it say? Opium den. There's an opium den inside the package. You're going after the things that we love? CCP? China? Ding dong. Who is it? It's a delivery. What are you delivering? It's a package. What's inside the package? China. It's not the country, like, you know, like plates and whatnot. But that's China, man. That is the CCP doing some dirty work, ladies and gentlemen. Reagan International, if I'm not mistaken, this is Reagan International Airport. I'm not quite sure what this is, but there have been reports over the airwaves. We've heard cats and dogs. We've heard meowing and dogs barking over the airwaves near Reagan International Airport. I think it makes, I mean, you hear it. It's definitely, you know, air traffic control captures it. You hear it. It's a clear cat meowing, meow, 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 meow. And there's a response of a dog going woof, 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 woof. I don't know what to tell you. Yes, we didn't anticipate it to unfold this way. Of course, I think we were all imagining a different world where pilots and other jobs are, of course, replaced slowly but surely, you know, by automation and tech and robots. But it seems that cats and dogs have surpassed us and leapfrogged us and have taken over. These are pilots. This is not an easy job. It's not the most difficult job once you get the hang of it, but initially it does require a certain level of intelligence. So these dogs and cats have now gone ahead and don't know what they did with the pilots we are investigating. We hope that they're all right. But at the same rate, if the cat and the dog who took over the plane, or planes, was it different planes communicating with each, were there two different planes operated by a cat and a dog, and the cat and the dog were communicating from different planes to one another, or was it just two? Was it a cat and a dog that took over one plane communicating through the airwaves, not noticing that they might even be heard by us? Maybe they didn't notice. It's alarming. Of course, I've always said, cats are, we've heard of stories where, deceased owners get eaten by cats. That's, they're beautiful animals, but not quite as trustworthy as the dog. The dog is man's best friend, and perhaps that's where we went wrong, ladies and gentlemen. Perhaps we got too comfortable. Perhaps we let down our guards, and maybe did the cat and the dog who took over the plane, did they know the said pilots that were taken out or missing? Was there a relationship? Was it the pilots, cats and dogs that took over, or because you could see that a dog being, home all alone, the owner is a pilot, gone all the time, comes home, is, smelling, reeking of cigarettes, whiskey and hookers, and the dog is just fucking sitting there licking his balls for like 12 hours. Doesn't see daddy enough. The same thing with the cat. Sure, they're more elusive, they're more solitary, they'll play with you when they want to, and they'll stick their puss in your face when you're sleeping. And yeah, they could care less whether or not you're there. But I mean, a pilot is gone for a really long time. There's a line you got to consider. Maybe the cats do genuinely miss their owners as well. Maybe it was the long distance relationship between cat and pilot, and then dog and pilot. Maybe it was all that. I don't know, to be honest with you. It is interesting to see that this is the way evolution has taken its course. Did they change any? Are they working paws and knobs? Is it paws to knobs, or did they did they get fingers all of a sudden? How did they get to the airport? How did they get inside, past security, past TSA? It's all questions that will be answered. I do like it. It's, perhaps the pilots could now, hopefully they're found safe and sound, hopefully they can go and pursue something else. It's never too late. Pursue some sort of, go after, if there's something you were passionate about, you're like, yeah, fucking piloting was my passion. Find another passion. It's time to find another passion. I don't know what to tell you. At the same rate, you got juked by a cat and a dog. I don't even know if I feel that bad for the dog. I don't even know if if it's a cat and a dog taking your job, and these could be really smart cats and dogs. I'm not saying that they're, but low key, we should still be able to, if need be, fucking stand our ground versus a cat and a dog. Maybe it was a fat cat. Maybe it was like maybe it was a hefty cat. Maybe it was a big, large cat. And maybe it was a, really extremely small pilot. Maybe it was a DEI hire. If it was a DEI hire, I could see the cat potentially getting in there and clawing his way to the cockpit. It was probably DEI, wasn't it? Again, trickle down, fucking, it's little by little. But if it is that, then it's just, this is survival of the fittest, essentially, at the end of the day. And if you got your job taken over by a cat or a dog, I mean, it is what it is, homie. It is what it is. Know what I mean? It is what it is, bro. Blaka. What I'll say about airlines, this one warms my heart because it's about goddamn time. It's about goddamn time. Shout out to New Zealand. I do a whole haka dance. Haka. I don't know if I'm even saying that right, or if it's even the right word to dance with the fucking, you guys get into it. Let's do one together. Teach me the moves. I'll probably butcher it, but nonetheless, it's Gives you goosebumps when you see it. God, I want a whole Haka gang around. I'm hoping I'm saying it right. Haka? Hana? Haka? Hanukkah? Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. I just want a whole bunch of them behind me or in front of me, just fucking walking to places. Going to the bank with these guys? Jesus Christ, you're gonna get a loan for sure, dude. But you're not gonna give me a loan with a whole Haka gang? It's fucking, just tongue out, eyes rolled back, fucking stomping, fucking sign the dotted line, motherfucker. How much you got in that cash register? It's Haka time. New Zealand, what have we been talking about? New Zealand Air, or Air New Zealand rather, has looked at traveling, and this is what we're looking for. This is the golden buzzer right here. This is the golden ticket right here. You want a blowy. You want a blowy, or you want a quick handy. This is what gets you that happy ending, my friend. Air New Zealand went above and beyond and is now offering bunk beds for economy class passengers. Flyers who are flying sitting hours and saying to themselves, man, oh man, I wish there was a little bit more legroom. I wish there was you look over to your left, you look at your beautiful girlfriend. She's sitting right beside you, on your right or on your left, it doesn't matter. And you're like, hey babe, how about you go down on me while we're up in the air? And she looks at you and she's like, I'm sorry, sweetheart, I can't go down on you. We're in economy class, and there's other people around. It'd be rude, and I'm not, I don't want to be rude to other people. I'm sorry. We're just gonna have to wait till we land, and then, probably gonna be tired by then. To get to the hotel, maybe get a bite to eat. Maybe we don't even eat because it's just way too late. Let's just get there, arrive. Maybe there'll be a blowy the following day, or not. And by the time the next day comes, sure, you might get a sloppy toppy the next day, but you wanted one right there, mid-air, and you can't do that in economy seating. And you're like, man, if only I had, if only I had worked hard enough, if I knew somebody, if only, I had, whatever, rich parents, if I had a no-show job, if only, whatever, I made enough money to be able to afford, first class. And maybe then my girlfriend and I could sit beside each other on those lounge chairs, and maybe she could jerk me off right then and there. And even then, if it's not even about that kind of, I don't even think you could do that in first class, because the seats are further apart. She'd have to have long arms to be able to, I think, give you. I've never been in first class, so I wouldn't know. I think the seating is too, might be too far apart. So I don't think she'd have to come over to you, and that'd be a whole. Again, there's still people there they can see, and you gotta hope that everybody's on board for a little bit of, public display of affection. But if they're not, then it's like, oh, fine, I guess I'll just fucking suck on these dry, salty nuts for the rest of the flight and whatever. It's not the same as a handy, of course. And that sucks. But that was yesteryear. And you'd have to fork a whole ton of money for that, because the difference between economy and first class is a lot. But now, Air New Zealand is saying, hey, to the regular beautiful folks who fly frequently, you can now rent these sleeping pods, these bunk beds, for a duration of 4 hours. It's starting out right now. They're doing it for 4 hours. Of course, it'll be, we'll expand on it, we'll grow it, but for 4 hours, you get to spend a little bit more. I think they're around $400 more. So you pay a little bit more money. It's not as much as, of course, the first class, because that's outrageous. You're not going to spend all that money and still not have your girlfriend be able to reach over and give you a handy, which fucking defeats the whole purpose of first class. But now you get a bunk bed for $400, which is, it's not cheap, but it's not, it's not gonna fucking kill you. It's gonna be $400. Get up there, you snuggle, close the curtain, and it's fucking Pound Town. It is fucking Pound Town. You're getting there, you can go down on her for 4 hours. Think of this, economy class, Air New Zealand. You're flying from New Zealand to, let's say, Australia, all right? Or you're flying over from Air in New Zealand. It's taking you from New Zealand to Europe or North America. You're visiting Canada. I don't know. Doesn't matter. For 4 hours, you can 69 with your lover in economy class, And you know, once you hear the alarm, simply clean yourself up, wipe the jizz off your face, you know, clear your hair of jizz, and just, you know, put your tits back in your tit holder, bras, tit holders. That's what we used to call them before people started getting fancy with it. Tit holders. Put your tit back in your tit holder, lady. Fella, just kind of like, you know, smack your cock on her ass to get the last few drips of cum out of your cock. You don't want to be dripping while you walk back to economy, where you have to take a seat on your seat. Now this, yeah, 4 hour. That's how long you get. Later, you know, in the future, in the next, you know, 5 and 2-3 years, you might be able to just do bunk beds throughout the whole thing, and that does, you know, and that gives you plenty of time to clean up. Let's say she's a squirter, right? She's a squirter, and what you're gonna want to do is bring. This one doesn't cost much. You get large garbage bags. This is, I've thought about this. I'm like, how do I get her to squirt on the bunk beds in economy? Garbage bags, large garbage. You lay it flat on the bunk beds, and you get in there and just finger bang her. She can squirt it all around you, but and then you take a towel with you. All right, I think there's gonna be other people there, right? There's a curtain separated, but it's still like, just think about other bits. It's a communal thing, all right? It's not your like private bedroom that you. So please clean up the jizz and the vaginal fluid before you leave, right? Don't leave it for the next person, unless we all agree that we just clean up after the next person, which I don't think everybody's gonna be on board for that one. You know, clean your own jizz and vaginal fluids, but all in all, you know, this is a positive sign. This is at least, you know, fucking, you take the W's where you can in life. And this is not a frequent flyer myself. I've not even had a, you know, I've not been on a plane in some time, but next time, if the opportunity comes and I'm, you know, about to take Air New Zealand, shout out, I know where I can spend $400 that goes an extremely long way. So thank you for that. Thank you. That's beautiful. And if you're out there in the market for a good time, if you're thinking to yourself, man, fentanyl is fucking great, but it just doesn't do it anymore. Fentanyl just doesn't do it anymore. I wish there was something even stronger. Well, I'm glad you have that desire within you, friend. Now there is. Now there's supercharged fentanyl. So they supercharge fentanyl. They supercharge it with rhinotrank. You mix the fentanyl with the rhinotrank, and you get supercharged fentanyl. Now there's that. Because regular fentanyl, despite the fact that I've heard a little speck of it can kill 10,000 people. You hear these things, and it does. But I'm guessing people have built up some sort of you build tolerance, I suppose, to almost anything. So that I guess there's a lesson to be learned in all of this. If you keep doing it long enough, you're gonna need stronger stuff. So people are now mixing the fentanyl with the rhinotrank. Why don't we just skip that? Skip the mixing part. Why don't we just move on to selling rhinotrank? I'm saying do rhino, because apparently the fentanyl mixed with the rhinotrank will just, apparently it just fucking, you just kind of like explode from the inside. I heard you get these like, I don't know, I think you just slump over and then your asshole just explodes from the back. I think this is what it does, but apparently does something, I guess, that people like it. It must be something that people enjoy about it, but it does make you kind of internally combust simultaneously. It turns you into like fire, and it melts you, and I don't know what it does, but it's fentanyl mixed with rhinotrank. But I'm saying let's just go all the way. Is there something stronger? Because this is mixed with fentanyl, which is again extremely strong. Take that out. Take the fentanyl out. I think the next move is just rhinotrank. Just do straight up rhinotrank. What does that do? I don't know. Like, is anybody out there doing rhinotrank just by itself, just pure raw? Where do you even get that from? People are asking for it, I guess. But if you want good, solid products, don't mix. That's what I say. Don't mix them because you never know. You never know how much rhino trank versus how much fentanyl. And that's the state of drugs these days. You can't get pure just fentanyl or right. It's got to be a mix. If you're, it's word of mouth. Find a good dealer. Find a good dealer who can give you pure rhino trank. Don't go for that, just half-baked fucking, mix of rhino trank and fentanyl. Get the real deal. Get the real deal. Just, you take it and you're fucking, you're right there, dude. You're on Mars. You are time traveling. You are speaking fucking, Cantonese right now because of this rhino trank. You're fucking levitating at this point on this rhino trank. So it's beautiful. I'm glad that there's products out there for everyone and to each their own, of course, but just putting it out there, use it wisely. Not quite sure what to make of this. I heard, again, I'm a fan of the guy. Listen to him talk. He mostly makes sense. Talks about things that are, important. Diet, health, exercise, eating better, taking care of yourselves. These are great messages. Talking about RFK Jr., Secretary of Health. Make America healthy again. It's beautiful. I like these things. These are genuinely good things. But I did hear a story, and this has nothing to do with the man in his position and his job. This is just I heard about this just recently. I heard about that. Apparently, there was a roadkill. At one point, there was a roadkill. RFK Jr. comes across the said roadkill. It's a raccoon. He finds the dead raccoon on the side of the street, grabs the raccoon, chops off the raccoon dick, and takes it back home to apparently study it. And he jotted this down in his diary. And the diary came out. And that's how we found out about it. What are we doing with would it be fine with the studying of the said raccoon peen that, I'm not, is there more to, is that what we should be, I'm just a little confused, to be honest with you. I'm just trying to make sense of this. Unless I'm missing something in terms of maybe there is something to be said about picking up, dead rodents on the side of the street and chopping off their dick and then taking it back to your place to study it. Maybe there is more to it. Maybe I'm not living life properly, to be honest with you. Maybe I'm not living life properly. Maybe there's more to be said. You don't knock until you try it. Once you see a dead raccoon on the side of the street, the first thing you're gonna want to do is go ahead and skin that dead raccoon and then chop off its dick. I'm telling you right now, make sure there is not a lot of blood leaking everywhere. You still want to keep it a little bit hydrated until you get it actually helps. You can make great sausages with this. I'm telling you right now, sometimes your backyard offers you way healthier options in terms of getting a good protein. Maybe it's filled with a lot of protein. Maybe it is, I don't know. Now, is it just the raccoon penis? Is it, because you hear fellas with age and experience will drop some is this some sort of because I remember this is kind of low-key reminds me of my grandpa at one point, him telling me eating it you hear older folks who've gone through a lot of life experience. They'll tell you if you eat he told me this, I remember this. He told me when you eat porcupine meat is really good for you. If you these you hear things from old people. They'll have those fucking folk remedies for shit. He's if you eat fucking porcupine meat, it'll get you. If you eat bear milk, it'll get you. Is this one of those things? Is it one of those? Because I'm not judging. I'm just asking if there's if it's good to eat. Well, what does it do if I eat the said chopped off raccoon protein? Is it an aphrodisiac? What does it do? Does it? Once you eat the dead raccoon's penis, there is gonna be a permanent pair of jeans on your legs, and you can always work out. And those jeans are actually quite comfortable. Magically, it appears as you swallow the raccoon dick. Permanent jeans. Maybe it does. I don't know. I don't know what it does. Did he remove the penis off the raccoon on the side of the road, or did he take the full raccoon to his home, then remove the penis and then discard the body of the raccoon? I'm just, again, like to learn. There's a lot to be learning, and you know, can all learn more and grow together. What if it's a great, you don't want to take dick pills, you don't want to, essentially take blood thinners. You're like, fuck, I'm tired of these blood thinners. They might give me a heart attack. You might say that. Well, fucking, maybe there's something to be said about eating raccoon dick. I don't know if he even ate it. What did he do with it? He studied it, because that's what he said he did in the journal. Cut off the raccoon dick and then went and wrote about it, studied it. What did we find out? And again, is it just raccoon dick? Are animals, is it a thing? Should we be collecting and or studying, animal dicks? I'd like to know. Just putting it out there. It doesn't even matter. The point is, ladies and gentlemen, that it's 2026. We're learning, we're growing, and we're doing blaka. All right? And sometimes you need to get with the times and just fucking do things a little bit differently. And certain things you can take from the past, but if they were to move forward in the future, they need a little bit of a facelift. They need a little bit of a repackaging, you could say, and that's being done right now. And we're doing it together. Pete Hegseth is doing it, and Trumpeezy's doing it, and others are going to be doing it too, and they are doing it, and it's great. We're going to need this. And I think what am I even saying? It's Jesus needs our help. As much as we need Jesus, Jesus needs our help. Jesus sometimes, as great as he is, all right? As great as he is, sometimes he needs to punch it up. He's got great material. Some say one of the best material out there. Some say the best material out there. But sometimes, again, given the times, it needs to be just caught up with the times. The messaging, the core message itself is great. The packaging needs to be just, adjusted a little bit. Pete Hegseth recently just gave a speech, and it wasn't, people thought, he said he's quoting the Bible apparently, but turns out that it's a quote from Pulp Fiction, Samuel L. Jackson's character giving a speech in the movie, which is based on another piece of work, but also on the Bible, and it's reinterpreted as a quote from the Bible. So it's like a pseudo-Bible quote is essentially what I'm trying to say. It's not a full-blown Bible quote, but Pete Hegseth is trying to give a speech, and fucking, I think it's for the troops going out there and rescuing the pilot overseas during the whole conflict, giving a speech to the troops, to pilots, soldiers. I don't know, to be honest with you. But nonetheless, he quoted Pulp Fiction, quoted Samuel L. Jackson instead of the actual Bible. And sometimes this is an instance where you need to, again, catching up the core message with the times. Peace, love, charity, all that good is, that's good, but the times require, because right now we are, again, it's a global, things are happening. It is, it's conflict. It's a little bit of conflict, which will soon be resolved. All right, there's good news on the horizon, but nonetheless, sometimes you need backup, because it's, it's biblical times, or maybe not. Maybe it's just regular times, or maybe it's always just regular / biblical times. Who knows? The point is, it's Christianity, is the Western, it's Western thought and the Western hemisphere versus low key, or maybe high key, just, whatever else the rest is. And they've got their messages, and Jesus is our guy. So we need to, again, catch him up with the times. So we can still, he still gets to keep the sandal and the robe, and the messaging itself is good. But low key, he's a gunslinger. He needs to be. It's basically, we're going to take Jesus and take him to Hollywood. It's Jesus goes to Hollywood. There it is. It's Jesus goes to Hollywood. Messaging itself is, again, if you quote the Bible, it doesn't quite, it's great, but once you want the Bible, punched up a little bit, you go to fucking Tarantino and you grab the movie and you grab the lines from the movie, and then that speaks to the people. And that sometimes when you're talking about, we're talking about war, it's wartime, all right? Sometimes you need vengeance and you need to just punch it up. The messaging needs to be punched up. So you go there, punch it up a little bit, and it just delivers the message to the common folk and all of us today in modern society at this time in 2026. It just resonates when you just present something to people that they're familiar with, and that's everybody loves Pulp Fiction, everybody loves Samuel L. Jackson. Come on. So it's beautiful. And then Trumpese earlier on, he had a post, he had a tweet or an X or whatever on X, I think. He posted an image of himself as Jesus, which then he took down, saying he thought it was a doctor. But the point is that sometimes sometimes Jesus, his image, as great as it is, needs to be punched up. And the way to punch it up, you take AI and give it a little bit of just a little bit of prompt it, replace Jesus' face and body with your own head and body, but this message, the core message, is there. But the image of it is it's a repackaging is what it is. Basically, again, it is Jesus goes to Hollywood. He still walks the walk, talks the talk, still full of peace, but need be, he'll back it up with a fucking a double barrel. He's an open carry. He's into open carrying. Jesus is into open carry, and he still has a good time. All love, peace, and charity once again. But if need be, if somebody is fucking because he's seen it. Look what he did last time. He wasn't open carrying. Look what happened. So this time, during these times, especially now, he's gonna be into open carry. So if somebody comes on and be like, yo, let me, give me your wrist, give me your feet, let me nail you to it. He'll be there, right there. Vengeance, fucking, He was a rebel, all right? And a beautiful magician, all right? So he'll come, reveal the miracle / sleight of hand. But also, if you start asking too much questions as to, we didn't know it was like, we didn't know it was a whatever. We'd rather not know how you did it. Now that you told us how you did it, we don't want to. And that's when I'll take the double barrel and be like, oh, this is Jesus 2026 brought to you by Hollywood. Fucking cock it and block it right there. Block. Until next time, ladies and gentlemen. Peace out. Get out of here.